Bet on this 66 Chevy has seen better days. We're going to completely overhaul the bedwood and make this truck look better than it did from the factory. All that and more today on Truck U.
Bruno, look at that. You can actually get at everything.
It's crazy, right? How simple things used to be back in the day.
It's a lot of room.
It's nice.
Hey, welcome to Truck U. I'm Matt Steele.
Hi, I'm Bruno Massel.
So Bruno and I, about 2 weeks ago, were at this car show down in Stuart, Florida, and a guy comes up, real nice guy, introduces himself to us, and he says, hey, I watched the show. I love what you guys do. I just wish that you did some more classic trucks. And we said, hey, man, hold on, because we've got a couple of them coming up in the pipeline. We just finished up that 72 not too long ago, and today we've got a 1966 Chevrolet C10 step-side short bed pickup truck, and I love this thing.
Yeah, it rolls right off your mouth, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
You know, the thing is, it is a nice looking truck. You know, the guy's kept it in really good shape over the years, and he doesn't want to do a full, makeover on this thing. He just wants a couple little issues addressed. One being the fact that it needs disc brakes all the way around. He went ahead and put disc brakes up front, but didn't do the back, so we'll get rid of those drums and make sure it's got good stopping power all the way around. You know, this is a heavy vehicle. When you load up that back, it needs all the stopping power you can get. You know, inside the cab, we'll address a few issues there, but the big thing for him is he wanted to redo the bed and wasn't sure really how to go about doing it. It's got a cool, well, it once was a cool wood bed, and these things are pretty neat when they're done right. And the guys at Brothers Trucks gave us all the parts and pieces to redo this thing and make it a whole feature of the entire truck.
Now here's the coolest thing about the truck is the fact that the guy uses it. It's an everyday driver. He works with it. It's got a hitch on the back. He pulls trailers. Obviously, he hauls a lot of stuff in the back of the truck. I like that, I mean, that's why you have a truck.
Right.
But, like you said, this thing has seen better days. It's an easy fix, and we're going to make it look brand new back here. This is going to be a major, major improvement.
All right, let's drop the tailgate and start getting to work, man.
All right.
We ran into a couple surprises en route of trying to take out the old bed. First things first was the side steps. Matt, you saw him getting his side out. I got mine earlier. The reason we had to get those out of the way is because you couldn't get these two bolts out with the side step in place. No big deal. Now we can access them, got them loosened up. Now we found something else when we went across the front and getting these bolts out is the fact that the ones up front actually are holding the bed up, believe it or not. I know that sounds a little strange, but this bolt right here is actually to the frame itself into a support bracket, and the other one is actually holding the bed up. So we found out rather quickly when we loosened these up, we started to lose the bed, so quickly we put jacks on either side, got that supported, that's all stabilized, we're good to go there. Then it's just a process of getting out the 90-some or whatever it is number of bolts that are holding everything into place. I think Matt's finally got those done, am I right?
Yeah.
All right, so then it's just a matter of pulling the old stuff out and putting in the new. Easy peasy, bro.
Nothing to it. I'm going to step over here and take a little look into the future of what things hold for this bed, man. I like it. Today's a really exciting day because I don't recall ever doing any woodwork here on Truck U before. And you notice Bruno is nowhere to be found, which is a little bit surprising because he loves working with wood. So I don't know, I'm sure he's busy somewhere. But here's what's going on with our 66. This piece was in the bed of the truck, and all the rest of them looked like this. You can see that the sun has beaten this up. It's dried up, it's splintered, it's cracked. It's taken a few beatings here over the years. This has got to go because that's a good-looking truck, and this is not cutting the mustard. So we get with Brothers Trucks, and we have a couple different options as far as it goes with replacement wood. The options are right over here. We've got a pine option right here and an oak option here. Now, they send these to you and they are unfinished. Actually, they're finished nice and smooth, but they're not sealed up or stained yet. The reason they do that is so that you can kind of customize it for your particular vehicle. Now, they are ready to go, and we're ready to apply the stain or the sealant or whatever you want to do. However, if you're super picky, and I know some of you guys are, and that's perfectly fine, you can still hit this again with another really fine sandpaper, smooth it out, get it where you want it, and then you're ready to apply. Now, I like the pine. I think that's beautiful with that grain, but I like the oak as well, so you have to decide. Here's one thing you want to keep in mind. When you're going with the pine, that wood is a lot softer. So whatever product you're going to apply on there, you're going to end up applying a lot more because more of it is actually going to soak into the wood. So it may actually be a quicker process on the oak. So we go over here and you see that's exactly what we decided to go with was the oak. This piece is done and ready to go. Well, the stain is on there. We haven't clear coated it yet. We'll get to that here shortly. So what we need to do is go ahead and get this one ready. Now this is all set, like I said. It's nice and smooth. We can come on over here to the stain and get some on our sponge. I've got cardboard all laid out because I tend to make a bit of a mess. And we'll let some of that drain out. And we're going to apply this real light and just with nice coverage all the way. Oh, there you go. Get some of that. With a nice coverage all the way. Whoops, missed a spot. And we don't want to start and stop. We want to just get a nice, clean shot all the way down. And look at that. That is coming alive. And we'll go, whoop, and then we'll go back and just get the spots that we missed. Now what I'm going to do is actually let this sit for about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. I'll use my best judgment on that, and then give this a wipe with an old shirt, and that'll give us a nice uniform finish all the way down. Then of course we'll let these dry overnight before we apply our clear coat. Once we've done that to all the pieces of wood, these will be ready to go in the back of that truck, and it's going to look a lot better. We need to go to break right now. When we come back, we're going to start working on the inside of that 66.
This segment of Truck U is brought to you by CRC Industries, the makers of Brake Clean, the #1 brake part cleaner.
Welcome back. We're continuing to work on this 66 Chevy truck. You know, we've got Matt out back. He's gone ahead and staining the wood planks for our bed, and I figure it's a great opportunity for me to climb inside and see what we've got to work with the cab. Now, if you look around, I mean, keep in mind it's an everyday driver. It's a 66. All in all, it looks pretty good, and it's stayed pretty much original. Except we've got a few upgrades over the years, like the lug nut shifter right here is pretty cool. It's got an aftermarket radio. And one thing we've got a real problem with, and that is the steering column. If you look at it, you'll notice, well, it's a shift on the column automatic and you're in a manual truck, so that doesn't really go. The other thing is you'll see right here when you climb in, now I'm about 6'1", the owner's about 6'4". The steering column, the aftermarket one, no longer adjusts. It's into your lap. He's got about 50 pounds on me, so it's become a real issue driving around town squeezed into the truck, so much so that he doesn't even want to drive it anymore. So he asked us if there's one thing we do on the interior is address this, and that's what we're going to do for him. So we called the guys at Brothers Trucks and had them send over a steering column and a new steering wheel as well. The thing is now we got to get this one out of the way. So first things first, you've got to start removing this emergency brake. And it's simply, you've got 3 nuts here you have to take off, and this will come down, unplug the wiring, and start taking the column out itself.
Anytime you're doing a steering column replacement job, there are a lot of little things going on, and if you haven't done it before, it's easy to forget something small. That's what's nice about working with Brothers Trucks. You call them up and you say, look, I've got this year a truck, I want to go with this, here's the job I want to do, and they'll send you the kit that includes everything that you need. You know, they've got different lengths on the steering column for like a floor shifting versus column shifting application. All the little pieces and parts that you might ordinarily forget are there. Now let's be honest, on the inside of this truck, that steering wheel was probably the biggest eyesore, so that's a brand new one right there. That's going to look great. Then you've got the adapter that's going to help that mate to the top of the column right there. All the other little pieces like the rag joint, that's going to help give you a nice smooth steering and kind of kill some of that vibration that might try to sneak up through the lines there. Then you've got your turning indicator, your tilt steering right there, your hazard. Everything that we need is in the kit. Now this little shaft right here will slide on the inside. Boom. This is kind of like a little intermediate shaft. Goes between the column and the steering box. And all we have to do is get that out, get this in, tie it all together, and this is going to look a lot better on the inside of that 66. Steering shafts come in different lengths, either 2 or 3 feet. We've got a 3-footer here, which is more than enough. So what we need to do is make a little measurement, and we'll find out where we need to cut this thing off. That way everything lines up good. Now, for the sake of visibility, I'm going to show you right here. So we've got this rag joint coupler. That goes on the right onto the steering box right there. So what are we going to do? Bruno, if you want to go ahead and slide in that column, be
Sure,
careful,
buddy.
dude.
One
So
sec.
then
Let
we'll
me know
slide
when
that
you
in, and
feel
we'll
it.
take a measurement from about a ½ an inch out from here to where the column meets right there. And that way we'll know how long to cut our steering shaft. And we got a couple inches of play right there, so that's good. So let me put this on the box. Boom. All right.
You got
Are
it?
you in?
Yeah, I'm in, man.
All right, cool.
So our new steering column is in and it looks good. The best part about it is the tilt feature absolutely works, so our buddy can get down the road without the steering wheel in his lap. Now it's just a matter of putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. You've got this little plastic ring right here, and if you look on the back side, this is a contact for our horn. So what will happen is no matter how you turn the wheel, you'll get contact and you'll still be able to use that horn. So that slides over first. Next part is you've got our billet steering wheel adapter. Now you can see that's a spline surface on the inside with two holes here where you can actually remove it if you wanted to, and this is where our little horn deal goes through. So what you want to do is slide this thing over like this, and make sure that when you put it in place, not only do you line the splines up, but you want to line up one of these screws to 12 o'clock. The whole idea is when you put the steering wheel on, you want it to be nice and flat. So your front wheels need to be straight. One of these holes at 12 o'clock, slide it down, and you use the nut right here to press it into place, and you'll actually get a nice press tight fit. So when that's in place, you'll go ahead and take this little spring wire. This will go through there for our horn, slides into place, and then you'll make a connection to the horn. But before we get to the horn, we need to look at this steering wheel. Man, this is really nice. The guys from Brothers Trucks, they gave us this 14-inch billet aluminum steering wheel, and you can see it's half wrapped in leather. It looks good, and when you slide it on, if I did this right, it will line up, yes, nice and square and flat and straight. So we go down the road, man, this thing's gonna look good. With the column working, we're gonna make sure that the steering wheel is up and not in our lap, and then it's just a matter of putting on our horn, and that'll connect right there. So this is just about done. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. When I'm done, I can go help Matt work on that truck bed.
We've stained the boards and we've got the color where we want it. Now it's time to lay on a final coat of clear. Now, you could use an automotive spray system if you wanted to and just spray the clear on there. If you have a system like that, I mean, you could get as crazy as you wanted to. You could wet sand it, polish it, do whatever you want to do. Now, most people will just brush it on because think about it. He uses this truck, like we said, you know, and all we really want to do is make this bed look good and try to keep it from looking like it did in the past. I went ahead and I cut in kind of those grooves that are going to go down in there. Now, they'll have a metal track piece on them, but I still want to protect that wood even though you don't see it. So now I cut those in, and all I got to do is cut in these little circle areas right here where the washers will go. And like I said, some people might not even worry about that. They'll say, well, there's a washer in there. But listen, that's just the way I am. I'm going to protect every bit of that wood if I can. Now we're ready to start laying it on. Just lay it on with the grain and work our way on down towards the end. All right, I'll keep working on these and get these done. In the meantime, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll get the truck up on the lift and start working on those rear disc brakes.
This segment of Truck U is brought to you by Woodward Fab. Quality metalworking equipment since 1966.
Wow. Looks like somebody got an A in wood shop.
Hey, bud.
Hey,
I see you sneak up on me right there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Beautiful.
You motivated me a little bit watching you stain that wood back there. It kind of got me back to my roots. You know, I'm not a carpenter per se, but you know, I like to dabble in a little bit.
I had no idea all this time. How much time do you have into this thing?
You know, it's not too bad. It's, you know, one solid piece of birch that I started carving away at. I got about 70 hours or so. It's one of my first real projects. I just never got a chance to paint it up.
That's a massive birch tree. Like the biggest ever in
Well,
the world.
I was told it was a little unusual in size, but it took me a while to drag that thing home.
All right, well, can we let that dry and get to the brakes?
All right, right there. Okay, what's that sit?
I'm extremely confused.
Looks good though. Hey, you know, getting over to this truck, one of the things we needed to do was go ahead and swap out the drum brakes for disc brakes. You know, he's got them up front, we need to do it in the rear. One of the obstacles we run across is the fact that this is a 66 truck and we've got a 64 axle back here. We found that out the hard way. We also found out that there's two different versions of these 64 axles, and we just so happen to find the one that's a little bit more difficult to work with. The nice thing is the guys at Brothers Trucks, their kit from 63 to 70 pretty much has you covered no matter what axle you've got.
Yeah, I mean, they've got everything. They've got the calipers, rotors, hoses, brackets, all the hardware, everything. All we got to do is get it on there. At first, I need to drain this rear diff, and get those clips out of there so we can start pulling the axles.
You know, this guy might have caught a little bit of a break because when we started draining some of the diff fluid out, we noticed it wasn't quite that caramel color you'd like to see.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's more of like a Hershey's chocolate.
It is.
You know, usually that's like a death sign. So really, he did catch a big break because he's probably going to have a lot of damage in there if we didn't swap this out, notice the problem, and fill it up with diff fluid.
So you're saying frosting is not good to have in there?
Not so much.
Now, I did leave this top nut on just a little bit, so once I crack this open, it doesn't fall and come crashing down. Sometimes they don't listen. Oh, yeah. Now, by the looks of this, I don't know if the whole truck was underwater for a couple of years or if it was just this rear axle, but man, that is nasty. Look at that rust. Woo.
That should do it right there. Okay, so we finally got the backing plate off. Now what we're gonna do is utilize these holes here, or soon to be holes, to mount our bracket on like this. So this will go into place like so, and our calipers will mount to that. Now, one of the things we're gonna be able to make up some of the time we lost from all this grinding is the fact that this thing's already got a 4-way adjustable proportioning valve. When you do disc brake conversions, you know, the drum brakes you don't have to have one. Disc brakes you do. Since it already had disc brakes up front, he already put that in. That's gonna save us some time. The other thing we need to do is change out these small little hard lines with the new rubber lines we got in the kit. Slowly but surely, it's all starting to come together.
Bruno, now this is neat. So let's take a little break from the project for a second so I can show you this, right? Now, this is from United Pacific. It's distributed by Brothers Trucks, and what it is, it's a replacement taillight for an old Chevy truck, right? We're talking 1947 and 1953.
Now, what's nice about this thing is a couple things, actually. It maintains that factory OE appearance, so it's going to look like it belongs on that older model vehicle. Now, but when you flip it on, you'll see that it's got bright LED lights, and it's got that custom blue light inside there. So you got your running lights there, you hit the brakes, pow, that is bright. It's going to keep people from running to the back of you and give you that customized look. The nice thing about this setup right here is the fact that it comes with a limited lifetime warranty.
Now, one of the best things you can do to keep your engine running great and keep the fuel system clean is to treat the fuel when you put it in the engine, right? It's a no-brainer. It makes sense, and this is an easy way to do it with Startron enzyme fuel treatment.
All you have to do is pour Startron into your fuel tank, and what it's going to do is allow your engine to start quicker, run more smoothly, and give it more power. And the way it does that is by treating the ethanol problems that exist in fuel these days.
So you've got the ethanol in the gasoline that you buy, and the idea of that is to be purchased and used within a certain amount of time. Well, that's great if you're driving every day, but if you've got a four-wheeler or a motorcycle or a snowmobile or a boat or something like that that maybe you only use every couple of months, that ethanol is going to gel up and create problems, and that is where the Startron comes in.
Yeah, they've got a solution not only for gas, but diesel engines as well. This is the Benchtop Pro. Let me open it up and show you guys. It is a portable, compact parts washer that uses an environmentally friendly fluid. So it's not only good for the end user, but good for the environment, yet it's strong enough to clean the nastiest, greasiest parts.
Look, that is all good and that is all true, but let's talk about the part that I like the most, right? This is exciting because it's fun. It uses science. You put the cleaning solution in there, and then you dump in this pack of microbes. They're little organisms, and they swim around in there, and they multiply, and there's all of them in there. They actually eat and consume the oil and grease, and that's what cleans it. So you don't even need to change out the fluid. When you need to clean stuff next time, you dump in more of the organisms. I love it. It's like a little Pac-Man game going on in
You're
there.
pretty fired up about it.
I am.
You know, it comes with everything you need. It's got the hose, brush, pump assembly, comes with a gallon of the concentrate, and 8 of those microbe packs. It's the Benchtop Pro, and Matt, man, you are in love with this thing.
I love small organisms. Well, I mean, what can I say?
This segment of Truck U is brought to you by Seatbelt Solutions, the safest seatbelt money can buy.
Welcome back. We're continuing on with our 66 Chevy truck. Now, we took out the steering column. We put in a new one that actually works. We've got a new steering wheel. We ripped out the old rotten bed And now we're going and wrapping up our disc brake conversion. This is a really nice kit because it allowed us to save a few bucks and use some older parts like the old axles, which is always nice.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple more things to do, but it's nice and easy. The brake lines plug in right on the back side. We've got the parking brake cable ties in right back up here and right where you're at, right there. So that's all good. You know, the only thing we need to do once we get everything put back together is take it out and do a little test drive and just hit that proportioning valve a little bit and check that brake bias between the front and rear. So
yeah, I say we hurry up and get this wrapped up because I'm excited to get to that bed. I think your stain should be done by now, and I think it's going to look really good when it's all done.
You know what I was thinking? Between my limited woodworking abilities and your obvious expert abilities, which I just learned about, by the way, this bed should look awesome when we're
I
done.
think it's going to look good. I'm not kidding you.
I don't know. Take a look at this, man. We get some of these strips laid in. How nice does that look?
It's looking good. I got to give you props on your stain job, man. It looks really nice, Matt.
Thanks, man. If you're throwing around compliments, I'm going to take it, right?
Doesn't happen often.
Once we lay in the metal strips, it'll look even better. But we've got a couple options for that. So we've got these pieces here that I left out so we can take a look at that, right? So here goes this strip, and that will lay on as such. And you can see the holes right here, so the hardware will be exposed, which I don't mind that look. I think it looks pretty cool. But some guys don't want any exposed hardware. They like it all smooth. You know, it's like the rivets on the side of a trailer. They like that smooth look too.
Right.
So here we go. Here's the option for that with the smooth top. So what happens on the bottom side is, you know, the hardware will actually just slide right in like that, and then boom. I mean, that looks nice too. I've got no problem with that.
Yeah, the flush look is nice. I kind of like the rivets. I think it gives a little more of a masculine feel to it, a little more rugged.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things we're going to do to keep this looking good is even hit these strips with this protectant called shark hide. It's easy to use. You just simply wipe it on, and especially for metal that's going to be exposed to the elements, that extra layer of protection is great. It'll keep these stainless steel strips looking good for a long period of time.
Basically, what we want to do is just get an idea of what this thing's going to look like when it's done, because we got about, what are there, about 80 or 90 screws to put in?
Yeah, you got a lot of screws you got to put in.
Ooh, look at this, dude. Look at this.
These strips are making this thing look really good and the paint look really bad. So basically, it's like we got another project we got to take on because we got to repaint the sides of this bed.
We talk about getting inspiration on a project while we do it. Look at that. Look at
Nice.
that. That's not in perfectly, but I love it, dude. Love it. All right, why don't you
Here, I got the
Get a move
screws
on
for you.
those
Why don't you
bolts.
hop underneath? I'll throw them down.
You know, that's all the time we have this week. We'll see you guys next time on Truck U. Cool, man.
All
right.
this hardware.
I just closed
We got
the
like
show.
900 screws.
Apparently you didn't hear me say, that's all the time we have this week. We'll see you next time right here on Truck U.
Oh,
See ya.
Nice.
All right, cool.
See ya.
We're out of here.